go ahead and get started and talk about representing relations. I'm going to ask you to write down these ordered pairs, please, in your notes, because we're going to do some different stuff with these ordered pairs. So go ahead and get that started, and then we'll come together and check that, or we're going to do some stuff with it. So go ahead and get that written down. All right, so these are, one way to represent relations is by a set of ordered pairs. This is what you see here. We can also represent a relation by drawing a table. So let's go ahead and draw a table using these ordered pairs. So we have X and Y. Remember, each ordered pair is an X and a Y paired together. And of course, they're alphabetical. X is always first, and then Y, whatever helps you remember. Hopefully by now, that's something that just comes naturally to you. And then you just write them down. There needs to be no order in a table. You can just put your ordered pairs, pairing them with their corresponding values. All right. Oh, the other thing we're going to do is create a mapping. Remember, a mapping is where you create bubbles. So we're going to draw two bubbles, or like two ovals, I guess we could say also. I call them bubbles just because it makes it more exciting, right, than an oval. And just like a table, the X is going to be on the left, the Y is going to be on the right, but most of the time they're not labeled. So you have to know that X is on the left and Y is on the right. Now, in each bubble, we're going to list the values from least to greatest just in a column. So somebody tell me, what is the least X value that we have here? What is it? 2. All right, so we start with 2. Let's try that again. 2, there it is. What's after 2? 3, okay, and then 5, and last, there she is, 7, right? Because we're looking at all the X values. All right, now the Y values, we're going to do the same thing, but we do not have to repeat any, because if you notice, 9 is there twice, so it only needs to go in once. So what is the smallest Y value? 5, and then 8, and last but not least, 9. Now, from here, this is the fun part. I like to say it's fun. It's kind of similar to a table right now. What we're going to do now is draw arrows to the points that go together. So 2 is paired with 5, so I'm going to draw an arrow from 2 to 5. 3 is paired with 9, so I'm going to draw my arrow from 3 to 9. 5 is paired with 8, so I'm drawing that one. And then last but not least, 7 is paired with 9. So this is a mapping. Remember, the X's are always on the left. Questions about this one? Then. All right, let's talk about our X and Y. In the video from last night, you should have seen that there are different names for X and Y. Can somebody tell me what one of those names is? If you go back and look at your notes from last night. Alyssa, do you have one?
I wrote them down.
Tell me, read me one for X.
X would be, do you mean like
There was like like two little bubbles, and I wrote all the different names in there. Can somebody?
Input.
Input, good. Well, X is an input. Because X is input, that means Y is going to have to be the output, right? Because if you're going to have an input, you're going to have an output. Good, Devin. So the fact that X is the input, that's the one that's changing every time. So you're going to be able to put different inputs into a function or a relation to get an output. The X can also be called, I'll give you this one, domain. Domain is the X, while the Y is range. There he is. While the X is input domain, it can also be the independent variable. I'm going to abbreviate I guess independent. I just ran out of room there. X is independent, so Y would be the dependent. Because the Y depends on what you put in for X. You can kind of think of it as like a toaster. The kind of bread you put in is the kind of toast you're going to get back. If you put white bread in, you're going to get white toast back. If you put in rye bread in the toaster, you're going to get rye toast back, and so on and so forth. So the kind of toast depends on the kind of bread. Or in this case, the Y depends on the X. Yes, Sam?
My dad told me that my Chromebook is in the office.
I think they'll bring it down. Is it like, when did he take it up there? All right, now let's look at the next one. I'm going to have you guys give me the names of some of these things. You don't have to write this one down. Let's just talk about it. Somebody give me a domain value from this table.
-2.
Very good. Somebody give me a dependent value from this table.
1.
Very good, 1. Somebody give me a domain value from this table. 4, good. What domain value what range value corresponds with that 4 of a domain? -11, good. So y'all are kind of picking up on the fact that there's independent and dependent, and they're paired together, right? They have a relationship with each other. Yesterday we talked about the relationship between time and distance, or time and heart rate. So now we're talking about the relationship between X and Y. Got it? All right, you guys have a quiz.